For this video, we're just going to take a look at Peng, and obviously it's known in the Tai Chi form a lot more than it is in most other systems, but in the internal arts, the Peng is used quite a lot. So in the Tai Chi form, I apologize, I haven't brushed up on my Tai Chi much recently, but from this position here, your Peng rolls up and it moves up in front of the chest, okay? In Bagua we have Peng as well, but it's called holding the moon in your breast, and it comes from this position. As we move up, it's the same kind of thing. So I just wanted to kind of explain it because there's a lot of this that will open up a lot of information about a lot of the postures that we're going to do. The structure of your Peng needs to be elbow away from your side, so it needs to be away from the rib cage. Your arm is going to be 135-degree bend in the elbow. Now, it's not going to be exactly that because you don't have a protractor, but there's a halfway point between fully extended and bent to 90 degrees where it will sit and it will feel comfortable. Now, the control, a little bit in the shoulder, a very tiny little bit through the strength of the arm, but the majority of the support is through the waist. First of all, it's an outward pressure, but it's not a continual pushing pressure. Okay, it's almost like with forward intent, but we roll into it, so the forearm rolls forwards. From a very basic application, if Matt just throws a nice right punch, I can use it this way. From a defensive perspective, this is just going to keep anything outside of this guard. So it's very similar to a guard, but we want to keep our opponent away. So just as very basic, when you're practicing your Peng, you can just push, okay? Your center must stay over your feet, so you don't want to lean into it. And there's just a little bit of give in there, so it's almost elasticated. So from here, you have that push, and it's never going to drift too far from the position. As Matt pushes towards my body, I'm not worrying about guiding it off. I'm just trying to build this structure into my core. So it's just a little press here, and you see how it affects my waist. If I don't roll my waist, then my Peng structure will actually move my feet. So that's where the waist works in conjunction. There's a point in which it's going to connect to my body and I have to roll out of it. Same if he pushes across to the other side, I have to turn my body. And this is where the single arm push hands comes in. And it's a really, really easy drill to get just the basic hang of it. So all we're going to do from here, and again, like I said, there's a lot more to single push hands, but all we want to do is keep our center over our feet so we don't lose balance. Okay, so as I push towards his center with my palm, he's going to just roll his body, which means that if I continue to push, I'd slip off. Okay, and then all that happens from this position, once Matt has defended his center line, he's going to roll his fingers up and then push towards my center. So it's going to kind of come back in an arc. And then as soon as it gets to that position where I can't really fight it anymore because he's starting to extend that into a palm strike, I need to roll my body to the side. And that's when my hand switches to a palm. So we have this kind of stirring movement here. So if we were to strike with Peng, it's also the same position, but we can't relentlessly attack if the range changes. We can only go to a certain length. So if Matt throws that punch in and I check it with my other hand, if my body's close enough, I can use the same power to strike up into gallbladder 3, so I can roll up straight into the temple. Now, if we were at a slightly longer range, my Peng's not going to work, because if that punch comes in and I go like this, if I start to extend past this position, or this kind of safe position from my Peng, I'm going to have to start lengthening the elbows and rolling the shot. Okay, so as long as we're in nice and close, if the punch comes in, then my Peng can strike, and I don't have to move very far from there. Okay, if on the other hand it is longer, again like we did before, if that punch comes in and I'm going to shuffle in to strike with my Peng, now if Matt shuffles backwards or kind of leans back as I strike, I now have to change my strike and I have to move out of that control position. So this is just a very basic principle, but we see it in a lot of internal art. And it's just this power that you have, which also helps you to fight at close range, because anything that happens here, if you get crowded and you're in there, you don't have to really leave guard too much to then return your strikes. So that's just the basic explanation of Peng, and hopefully something that you can integrate into your training.